Yeah, nobody's doing anything except me. Most of us are a little bit sick too. Yesterday during the ABCT on hers. This is the whole text. I'm no better. Well, you've got a second chance, right? You know, you figured out timing issues if you had them. Yeah, all right. All right, so there's actually two sets of notes in here. It's 9-1 and 9-3. 9-1 is not an official algebra 2 standard. 9-1 is mid-point distance formula. So it's easy. If you need it, what's the formula for midpoint? Yep, try Justin.
Parentheses y plus y over here.
There's actually not another set of parentheses because it's an ordered pair. The result is an ordered pair. You just take your x's, you add them, cut them in half because you're finding the middle, the average. So you shouldn't have any problem with that. Order doesn't matter with addition. We don't distinguish x1 and x2 and so forth because it doesn't matter with addition what your order is. But anyways, you can do it as a decimal if you want. You can do it as a fraction. I personally just leave things as fractions. And that's midpoint. Now your ACT test yesterday didn't have midpoint, had the midpoint of a midpoint. Yeah, that's what it had. You could have done midpoint twice. You also could have divided by 4 instead of 2. What'd you do?
I think I did midpoint twice.
Instead of doing midpoint twice, you divided by 4.
There was only a couple of questions on that I was like, but I had about like 5 or 8 theory on some including radians and some other stuff.
The radians are something I'll talk about briefly for some time. This particular question, this type of question has in the past showed up on the ACT. I don't know if they're still using this type of question anymore or not. But it says line segment AB with midpoint M contains 3, 4, and -2, -9. And what a lot of kids will do is they'll see the word midpoint and they'll find it. Problem is that it's not that. It's kids who are just basically scanning text. Then I've seen the results. Where kids do the midpoint formula on this question is the most common answer. But they didn't give you that. They gave you a midpoint. Why would you do midpoint? You can actually use midpoint formula to find what B is, but you don't have to. I guarantee you Cantrell taught this the way I taught you this. I mean, I live 16 miles from here. If I drive 8 miles, how many more miles to go? 8. That's the idea. You're already at the midpoint. All you've got to do is find the rate of change that has happened and keep doing it. How do you go from 3 to -2? Why would you do anything else but take away 5 more? I don't know if that makes sense to you or not, but it makes sense to me. If I lost 5 to get to the middle, what do I keep losing? I keep losing 5. -2 minus 5? -7. Now, of course, you know, there's the issue here with kids and numbers. Not an algebra 2 issue, it's like most issues, 4th and 5th grade. 4 to -9 when you lose. You don't lose 13. You lose 15. You lose 15. You lose 15. Don't you?
I got 13. -4 and -9.
If you're at 4 and you count back, you're at 4 and then you're at -9. Oh, I see. I'm like, well, I'm that off today. I am that off today.
I really believe maybe 13 was right, but I wasn't.
Why have I been thinking 15 today? Why do I still think it's right in my head? That would be the -11, wouldn't it? Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. Anyways, what do you keep losing? Keep losing 13. What's -9 minus 13? -22. Probably the Sudafed messing with me today. It does. There's a reason they don't sell it anymore. Without asking. All right, that's part of 9.1. There's the other part of 9.1, which is distance formula. What is distance formula?
It's square root parentheses y minus one.
X minus X. Doesn't actually matter.
X minus X squared plus parentheses y minus one.
Miss Cantrell ever show you where it came from? It's Pythagorean theorem is what it is.
I usually can do about half of all of them, like this is when I was in my head. I usually get to the square root and then just the square numbers.
I'm not gonna spend time deriving it. It's a variation of a squared plus b squared is c squared. What happens to take the square root of both sides? Anyways, find the distance between the points, -2, 6, and 5, 9. We would just plug in, wouldn't we? X minus X, or it doesn't matter. You can do -2 minus 5, you can do 5 minus -2. Ideally, you do left to right. Because usually if you do left to right, a lot of times there won't be negative symbols in the squares. But it doesn't matter. If you do 5, take away -2, you got 7. Right? What are you doing square that 7? Let me just keep that in your head for a second. And then you do 9 minus 6, which is 3. If you square the 3, 9. So you got 49 and 9. What do you got? 58. And there's your distance. If it would simplify, it'd be awesome. It doesn't. And this problem is flawed. I'm going to try and fix it real quick and see what happens. It's flawed. It ends up being imaginary. So let's change this a little bit and see if this fixes it. I'm going to try this. I haven't had a chance to sit down and fix the problem. So given distance is 2 root 2 for the points 2, 5, and 4k, what two values make k assumed? I don't think this is going to be a pretty answer. I'm going to warn you. But it was meant to be, but then it was flawed. Anyways, what can you replace the b with? Replace it with 2 root 2. This is going to be x minus x, isn't it? So, maybe 4 minus 2, all squared, plus, what's that guy going to be? 4k minus 5. It'd be better to write it as k minus 5. We'll FOIL in a minute. Just hold your horses. You may not need the FOIL either. I don't think you need to. What's the opposite of the square root symbol? How do you fix this big square root? No, it is the 1/2. You square it. And if you square the right, square the left. So how do you square 2 root 2? You can just think of it like this too. You can just multiply it by itself. It's 2 times 2. What's the root of 2 times root 2? It's 4 times 2. Hey, something squared right how many times? Default to that. That should be what your go-to is. Right place. All right, what do we got here? We got 4 minus. By the way, that square did what to the radical? Got rid of it. So you can figure out what 4 minus 2 is. 2, you square it, and what do you get? That piece becomes a 4. And I'm going to leave this as k minus 5 squared. I'm not going to write that twice because I don't have to, because I know enough. I have a big toolbox and stuff. What can I do that for? I can subtract it. And I'll have k minus 5 all squared. Now I fix that square. Square root. I square root again. You're solving for an unknown here. What symbolism do you have to include when you're taking square roots? Plus or minus. So it turns out that plus or minus 2 is k minus 5. And then what do we get to add to both sides? How do you isolate k? You add 5. So k is 5 plus or minus 2. What are the two possible values that k could be for the distance to be 2 root 2? 7 or 3. It's 5 plus or minus 2. Not 2 plus or minus 5. No, it came out perfect. Oh, it's amazing. It did come out being imaginary the first time. It's supposed to be something factored, but anyways, this worked out well. There's your two values. I have seen that on ACT tests when kids take them. It does show up from time to time. It's not an unusual problem to see. But you know, the ACT test is supposed to test all of high school math in 60 questions. There's a lot of high school math for 60 questions. So every iteration is going to be a little bit different. We're going to try and hit the same key concepts, but the types of questions they ask are going to be different. I don't like the way I have this diagram drawn, so I'm going to fix this diagram real quick. Learn that in geometry. You don't know how to find your area and share your region?
It was not bad because
You know, it really sucks.
the radius was also, the radius of the big circle was also the height and the base for the triangle and the height for the triangle.
Oh, formula does it for you. Anyways, I'm going to invert my triangle here. No, I'm not. It's not a diagram I want. Here's where my triangle needs to be. Any of you guys remember the mathematical definition of a circle? Area. Definition of a circle. Don't you like artistic? If I was going to have a computer program create a circle, what it would do is it would keep plotting points a certain distance away from the center, and it would just keep drawing those pixels over and over and over and over and over and over and filling in all these pixels until it had a perfect circle, which is actually what the definition of a circle is. And that's how a computer draws a circle. It plots an infinite number of pixels and equidistant from a center, and is the definition. Set of all points equidistant from a given point from the center. That's how a computer would draw them. Just draw a circle. They plot points very quickly, obviously. They're all the same distance from a given point. Whoever wrote the code to do that, that's what they did. I think I've done that before. That's one time. Anyways, that's the definition of a circle. Here's a formula from geometry. It's a standard form of an equation of a circle. And we're going to derive it using Pythagorean theorem. What's Pythagorean theorem? The reason I'm using Pythagorean theorem here is because the triangle I drew is what kind of triangle? A right triangle. Now I know for some kids this is kind of hard to understand, but that height right there would be the difference of what values of the order pairs. What if this y was a 5 and that k was a 2? What would the height be? What if this y was a 5 and that k was a 2? How tall would this thing be? 3. That leg of that triangle is the higher y value, take away a lower y value. It's y minus k. That's what the height of that triangle is. This length right here would be the difference of the higher x value, take away the lower x value. Which x value is farther right, x or h? So it's going to be x minus h. Those are legs of my right triangle. So what can I replace a squared with? X minus h, what can I replace b squared with? Y minus k. X minus h all squared. That's y minus k all squared. And what's the hypotenuse labeled as? I forgot to relabel. R, because it's the radius of the circle. So it's a c squared, r squared. That is a standard form of a circle. So it came from. Center is at HK. I don't know if you're writing these notes down or not. And I hope God gave you enough brain cells that you haven't burned off yet to figure out what r squared is. Hope. Should know. If not, maybe we'll get you on the next slide. Anyway, that's standard form of a circle. It's just a variation of what we are. Agreeing. It's actually what this is what we do. Usually it's y equilibrium is supposed to be. Hell, I bet there was 30 kids in my Pythagorean theorem like on the last one quiz. I don't know how I'm supposed to get growth out of some of that. Whatever. Graph the circle with a given equation. Don't worry about the x and y intercepts for now. Just graph the circle. So the first one up there is x squared plus y minus 4 squared is 16. If you don't remember doing this last year, you probably won't forward that. All right. There's another way to rewrite x squared so it looks more like your form. If you take away 0 from something, do you change it? So this can be thought of as x minus a 0 squared. Some kids need to see that, some kids don't. And I'm just going to line that up perfectly with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared. Because that's all that form is just a lineup process. You can line up with the form, you can figure everything out. So if you line up with your form, what are h and what are k? No. What are they? K is 4 and h is 0. That's your center. Your center is at the h and k values. 16, what did it line up with? R squared. I know r squared is 16. What's that make r? 4. Thank you for not saying plus or minus. Every once in a while, a kid will answer this with plus or minus something. Doesn't make a lick sense, does it? So maybe this is starting to sound familiar, I don't know. But to draw this thing, you just go to 0, 4, and then how many units do you count up? The radius is 4, how many units you can count up? 8? I don't care what the diameter is. Go up 4, go down 4, go left 4, right 4. It's one of the easiest things you ever did in geometry. I go up 4, I'd be there. I go down 4, I'd be there. Mine either usually look like a football or an odd Stewie Griffin head. No, they are. There you go. That was your geometry stuff on circles. Where's your center at on the next question? Center is at not 3, -2. Not at 3, -2.
It's -2.
Yes, what you always do with signs and equations, change it. I told you, it'll never break. Never will. Standard's at 3, -2. And if r squared is 36, what's the radius? Radius is 6. And we're not going to draw that one, because we got time for all that. Do you remember doing this last year, though? I heard it was on your ACT. Circles usually are to some degree. We're going to skip around. Actually, we're going to do that one right there, the big circle at the bottom. We're going to write that equation. You actually know most of it. You know H and K. What's HK? And what is it? -3, -4. So we can plug into x minus h all squared plus y minus k all squared equal to r squared. If we plug a -3 into x minus, what's it going to become? +3. If we plug a -4 into y minus, +4. And what do we still have to figure out? All right, so this goes back to a formula. And it's not a countable length. It's just a distance formula. That's all it is. Nothing more. Here it's not the distance, it's the radius. The radius would be the root of x minus x, which is 5, take away -3, all squared, plus y minus y. You take away -4, all squared. And then you break it out. You'll have 64 in that first square, and you'll have 144 in the second one. Put them together. That's right, Hayden. You got 208. Normally, you would simplify things like this. Normally, I'd ask you to say that that's 2 root 52. That simplifies 2 root 52. 4 times 52 is 208. It's 2 root 52. But what are you going to turn around and do with it? And you're going to square it, aren't you? So it's just going to be 208. Because the square covers out the square root. I have no idea what level of difficulty Ms. Cantrell asked of you. I don't know. I know one thing the birds get that in this class is I asked too high of a perceived level. Not my fault, everybody always been easy on you. Anyways, there you go. Not a hard thing either. And that settles it for all the prereqs. So we'll skip that one. Move into the Algebra 2 standard. The Algebra 2 standard is the general form of a circle. And you guys are like, but wait, I need more time to get comfortable with standard form. That was last year, wasn't it? General form is ax to the second plus by to the second plus cx plus dy plus e equals 0. Obviously, that is the general form of the circle. And you can't do anything with it. You can't look at it and figure out where the radius and the center are. Now, there's the things. Oh, there's another disclaimer here. A must equal B, or it's not a circle. Usually we talk about conics, and we used to talk about conics in Algebra 2. It's a really pre-cal. There's other things. There's circles, there's ellipses, there's hyperbolas, parabolas. They all have very similar equations. That depends if you're taking it or not. I don't know. All the level 4s took me this year. All the level 3s took dual enrollment because it's easier. It's just up to you. I don't care. If you want to take me, take me. If you don't, don't. That's the dentist. That's the professor. Let's see here. You can't do anything with this. You cannot look at this and figure out the radius. So you convert to STD form. Yes. You'd have to take a lot of math before you ever realize why it's actually a big deal. Would. How much math you guys think you know this percentage of math? Maybe you know 5% of it? I don't think I know 5% of it. I'd be shocked if anybody knew over half of it, because usually people specialize. I think you know about 0.5% of math is what you know. I think that's about what you know. All right, so find the center radius of this circle having the following equation. 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 16x minus 24y plus 51 is nothing. The goal here is to convert it into general form. Because when you're in general form, you can figure out your center and radius real quick. There's some steps here. I made a typo on step 1. I don't know why I didn't fix it before I printed the notes off. But you rearrange the equation so like things are grouped. That's what it should say. Rearrange the equation so like terms are grouped. What I mean by like terms is that x's like x's. That's who x's are going to hang out with. Y's are going to hang out with what? And nobody likes the constant. It just gets shoved off in a closet somewhere. I'm going to remove these steps here. But you need to rearrange it so that like things are next to each other. And hopefully that'll make sense in just a minute while we do that. So I'm going to take my x squareds and my x's and I'm going to make them best friends. I'm going to take my y squareds, and that was a positive for y squared, and my y's and make them best friends. And every one of them hates 51, so we're just going to move it to the right. What happens if you jump equality? Your sign changes, right? And now you're going to do a 6,000-year-old technique called completing the square. We're going to divide everything by whatever's in front of either x squared or y squared, and that happens to be a 4. So everything is divided by a 4. If we do such a thing, we'll have x squared minus 4x, leave space, plus y squared minus 6y, leave space, equals negative 51 quarters. Don't use decimals. You've got some of the steps for completing the square down there on your piece of paper. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take half of the b terms. Somewhere it says that. I don't know where it says. I don't read the instructions. But the b terms are the things in front of either x or in front of y. Remember ax squared plus bx plus c? The b term is in front of the variable with the exponent 1. So here's a b value. One of my b values is that b is negative 4. What's the say you're supposed to do with that? Take half of it. Half of negative 4 is negative 2. You take half of it. Square it. I should write out the full set of instructions. No, it just says complete the square for both x pieces and y pieces and then product. Must be my funny sense of humor. Oops. Square it. Square it. You get a 4, and then you add that to both sides. Put a 4 there. You put a 4 on the left. Put a 4 on the right. The reason that is done is because that x squared minus 4x plus 4 now factors. How does x squared minus 4x plus 4 factor? Negative 4 and 1 would give you a negative 3x.
X minus 2, x minus 2.
If you're gonna write it twice, you can write it once. So long as the exponent is a 2. So when I taught completing the square back to y'all last fall, I probably got mad at y'all repetitively for not drawing arrows. As soon as you take half of b, the factor is done. As soon as you take half of b, you have learned factoring. Now, all right, we have another b term here. B is -6. What are you supposed to do with it? Cut it in half. That'll give you a -3. I'm writing it down for a reason, because I'm not going to worry about how it factors. I know how it factors. Hell, I know how it factors right now. How's it factor? No. Before I squared, I knew how it factored. Y -3 squared. I do still have to finish the squaring operation, because I have to add things left and right to make this true. So I have to take that -3 and square it, and I get a 9. Because unless I say +9 here, that doesn't factor that way, does it? No. And then again, that's the key on these. As soon as you take half, the factoring job is done for you. It is. This is an old method, 6,000 years old. And to save me getting frustrated with y'all, I'm just going to tell you the right-hand side adds to be a quarter. Okay. God forbid y'all take a test on adding fractions like that. Really. Anyways, where's the center? It looks like this now, doesn't it? Where's the center? 2, 3. Radius, sorry, r squared lines up in quarter, doesn't it? Please don't get a kid who has to use calculator for this. R would be the root of 1 over the root of 4, which is 1/2. Not a very big structure.
I watched a video of somebody going around town, just asking what's the square root, what's the 1/4 square? No, what's the, no, what was square root of 1/4?
Oh, God, I bet it took them a while to get the right answer.
Gosh, yeah, I think it was about 6 people. Most people would give 1/8, 1/16 for, I don't know.
Yeah. People in general are just bad at math. Just the way it is. It's fun teaching a whole bunch of kids who don't want to learn math all day long. Good times.
I think it was on the college campus too.
We'll modify this one a little bit so the numbers are better for you, okay? Now that one had fractions in there. Your homework is like super easy. It's more aligned with what I think the state would do out of you. So I'm going to modify this equation to make it a little easier. I don't know what I want that number to be. We'll just make that 100. So scratch that one. Easier numbers. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't write that down. I blame Sudafed. Well, for Sudafed though, I wouldn't be reading. What are you going to divide everything by? There's certain things you can do in order. Like you can divide it 100 out. Whatever's in front of x squared and y squared has to be divided out. There's 100 in front of both of them. I'm going to go ahead and do some grouping too here. 100 over 100 is 1. X's like X's, don't they? Minus, what's 200 over 100? Minus 2x. Leave some space. Always leave some space. 100y squared over 100, that's y squared. 400 over 100, 4y. Leave some space. That negative 100 over 100 was a -1, but where's the constant go? On the right. So it equals 1. And then we can do the complete square technique. So let's look over at the x stuff. What are you going to take half of? Take a -2, you're going to cut it in half, and you get a -1. How's it gonna factor? The factor is x minus 1 squared. Now, don't think that you can skip stuff doing that. Like, you're gonna have to still figure out what you had to add to make that true. What were you supposed to do with that negative 1? You're supposed to square it. That'll give you a 1. And that is what gets added to both sides. And you got the other b value, the 4. What are you supposed to do with that 4? That'll give you a 2. How's it going to factor now? That's right, Ryan. It factors y plus 2, and you also said that you have to square it, which gives you your 4, and you add that to both sides. And you are basically done. What's your center?
1.
Your center is at 1, -2. What's your radius? Okay, you're those people on the video he was talking about. If r squared is 6, what's r? The square root of 6. I know what you did. You did what the average idiot does. The average American just cuts the number in half. Square root of 6. Whatever that might be. That, boys and girls, is that. Hope you found that meaningful. Probably didn't. I don't know, it all depends on what you want to be when you grow up.